hear that name, the first thing that comes to your mind is the salt that we use in food, right? Yes, that is also a salt which is called as common salt. Salts are basically ionic compounds which are produced after the neutralization reaction between an acid and a base. So salts are electrically neutral. Let's see some of the characteristics of salts. Most of the salts are crystalline solids. They may be transparent or opaque. Most of the salts are soluble in water and they conduct electricity. Neutral salts are odorless and salts can be colored or colorless. Salts having common acidic or basic radicals are said to belong to the same family. For example, let's take sodium chloride and calcium chloride. Both of them have chlorine in common. So we say that sodium chloride and calcium chloride belong to the chloride family. Similarly, let's take calcium chloride and calcium sulfate. Here, calcium is common in both of them. So we say that these two salts belong to the calcium family. Similarly, zinc chloride and zinc sulfate. Both of them have zinc in common and therefore they belong to the zinc family. So salts having common acidic or basic radicals are said to belong to the same family. Salts can be classified into three types. We have the neutral, acidic and basic salts. Neutral salts are salts which are produced by the reaction between a strong acid and a strong base. So the pH of such salts is going to be close to 7, that is neutral. For example, let's take sodium hydroxide, which is a strong base reacting with a strong acid like HCl, and the salt produced there is sodium chloride, which is a neutral salt having a pH close to 7. The second type of salts is the acidic salts, the salts which are formed by the reaction between a strong acid and a weak base. The pH of such salts will be lower than 7, slightly lower than 7. Let's see an example. Ammonium hydroxide is a weak base, and if it reacts with a strong acid like HCl, you're going to get the salt ammonium chloride. Now this is an acidic salt having a pH slightly less than 7. The third type of salt is the basic salt. The salts which are formed by the reaction between a weak acid and a strong base are called as basic salts. For example, you take carbonic acid, which is a weak acid, and react it with sodium hydroxide, which is a strong base. The salt that is produced here is sodium carbonate, which is a basic salt having a pH slightly above 7. Now let's see some of the important chemical compounds which could be acids, bases or salts. And the first one is common salt. Common salt is the one which we use in foods to enhance the taste of food. It is chemically sodium chloride. It is also called as table salt. It is a neutral salt. Therefore, the pH of sodium chloride is close to 7. Now, how can you prepare sodium chloride? By the reaction between sodium hydroxide and hydrogen chloride. It is also used in the manufacturing of many chemicals. The second important compound is sodium hydroxide, which is NaOH. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base. It is also known as caustic soda. And how can we prepare sodium hydroxide? It is obtained by the electrolytic decomposition of a solution of sodium chloride, which is also called as brine. Now in this process, sodium hydroxide is formed and also chlorine is obtained at the anode and hydrogen gas is evolved at the cathode as byproducts. Now since chlorine and NaOH is produced, the whole process is also known as chlor-alkali process. There are several uses for sodium hydroxide and for the byproducts chlorine and hydrogen. Now coming to the third important compound, which is bleaching powder. It is chemically calcium oxychloride, that is CaOCl2. It is a solid which has a yellowish white color. Bleaching powder can be easily identified by the strong smell of chlorine. It is obtained from calcium hydroxide and chlorine, and therefore it is also known as the chloride of lime. It is used as a disinfectant to clean water, as a moss remover, weed killers, etc. It is also used for bleaching of cotton in textile industry and is widely used as an oxidizing agent in various industries. Now coming to the fourth important compound, which is baking soda. Chemically, it is sodium hydrogen carbonate, which is NaHCO₃. The soda that we commonly use in the kitchen for making tasty crispy pakoras is baking soda. It is also sometimes used for faster cooking. And how can you obtain baking soda? It is obtained from sodium chloride, water, carbon dioxide and ammonia. Baking soda, which is NaHCO₃, when heated gives rise to carbon dioxide, water and sodium carbonate. And have you ever wondered why the bread or cakes rise? It is because of this reaction wherein carbon dioxide is produced during the reaction, and this causes breads or cakes to rise, making them soft and spongy. There are several other uses for baking soda. It is also used for making baking powder, which is a mixture of baking soda and a mild edible acid such as tartaric acid. Baking soda, being basic in nature, it is also used as an antacid, and since it produces carbon dioxide on strong heating, it is also used as a fire extinguisher. Now coming to the fifth important compound, which is washing soda, and chemically it is sodium carbonate. You have seen that sodium carbonate can be obtained by heating baking soda. So by recrystallization of sodium carbonate, you can get washing soda. What is recrystallization? That is, you're going to add 10 moles of water molecules to sodium carbonate so as to get washing soda, which is Na₂CO₃.10H2O. Washing soda, from the name it's clear that it is used for cleaning purposes. It is also used for making detergent, cake and powder, and it is used in the removal of permanent hardness of water, and it is also used in glass and paper industries. You must be wondering, what is this 10H2O which is there next to Na₂CO₃? That is called as water of crystallization. That is, many salts contain water molecules and are known as hydrated salts, and those water molecules present in salts are known as water of crystallization. Let's see another example. Copper sulfate pentahydrate, which is CuSO4.5H2O. This is actually a blue colored substance, but when you heat it, the water molecules are lost and it becomes whitish grey. So in order to regain back this blue color, what do you have to do? Just add water molecules to it and you will get back the blue color. So this is water of crystallization. Let's see another example of water of crystallization, which is plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is a very common compound used by doctors for supporting fractured bones in the right position. Plaster of Paris is a white powder which, when mixed with water, becomes gypsum, which is a hard solid mass. So how can you prepare plaster of Paris? It can be prepared from gypsum, which is calcium sulfate.2H2O. You just have to heat gypsum at 373 Kelvin, so the water molecules are lost and you get calcium sulfate hemihydrate, that is CaSO4.5H2O, which is plaster of Paris. So to conclude, salts are substances which are obtained from acids and bases. Salts are of three types. We have acidic, basic and neutral salts, and some of the important compounds that we discussed today are common salt, sodium hydroxide, bleaching powder, baking soda, washing soda and plaster of Paris.